Comic books and books, gonna be real quick again. Not a whole lot of new stuff as far as like meta is concerned. I mean, there's always new story arcs and stuff, but that's not what we talk about here in this show. We talk about announcements and new characters and developments as it pertains to the comic book industry. And that leads us to a King Kong and Godzilla prequel book. So let's talk about that, shall we? Welcome, nerds, to the comic books and book news for the week. This is where we talk about all things comic books and literature related. So if there's a new book coming out, we're not going to get into individual arcs necessarily, unless there's some sort of like major publisher-wide effects that are going to be related to said arc. We don't really get into individual arcs or individual issues. We just talk about the broader news at large. So without any further ado, let's talk about some comic books and possibly some books as well. So like I said, we have no follow-ups or corrections. We have it's technically a trailer that we're talking about, so there is not going to be any quote-unquote regular news this week. It is only a trailer. We got a trailer for the Godzilla x Kong The Hunted book. This is a book that is coming from, goodness gracious, where did it go? Legendary Comics, there we go. Legendary Comics is teaming up with Rocket Ship, and they're running a Kickstarter campaign to get this thing funded, which honestly seems like a major sign of the times, because something like this, the studio, in years past, when I was a much younger man, the studio would have fronted the bill. And then if they took a loss, then the movie hopefully would have gotten enough marketing out of something like this that it would have made up the difference. And so, you know, it would have been rolled into the marketing budget and nobody would have thought twice about it. But comic books being, you know, not exactly a great way to make money these days, that's not how things go anymore. So this trailer, though, is an announcement of a couple of things. First of all, the announcement that this book is happening. It is a prequel to the upcoming new Empire movie that's coming out in 2025, I think. We'll talk about it in the movie section. But the art is going to be from David Aja, I think is maybe how his name is said. The writer is going to be, I believe, the screenwriter for the movie, and his name is not in my notes because I take amazing notes. But then it also is announcing a second book. If you get up to a certain tier on the Kickstarter and you donate a certain amount of money, then you'll get a second book as well. Not just the Hunted book, but also a Monsterverse Declassified book, which isn't going to necessarily deal with Kong or Godzilla directly. It's going to deal more with 4 other titans, those being Doug, Behemoth, Tiamat, and an as yet announced 4th Titan. So interesting. Again, kind of a sign of the times as far as the industry goes, but that's all we got for comic books and books, aside from...
Hey nerds! So, Nerdagon, one more time. Just reminding you that your subscription really goes a long way. Also, you know, if you like this, the thumbs up goes pretty far too, but really, we're just doing the subscription drive right now, so be sure to push that subscribe button if you're on the YouTubes and really any other platform you follow us on, because, you know, we like doing this, and so we want to come back. So the best way to do that is if you're here to come back too. So we love you, and yeah, let's get back to the news, I guess. Bye.
The suggestion this week for comic books and books, and that is Halloween, Locke and Key, Joe Hill. There are 7 collected trades for this series. It is so much different than the Netflix show. So if your only exposure is the Netflix show, you really should read the book, because Joe Hill's brain is so much more twisted than they could ever put in this in the show on Netflix, and so much more twisted than his dad. That, like, yes, go read Locke and Key. Start with book number 1, jump in wherever you want to, really, but book number 1 is the most suggested way to do this, and just have a freaking weekend of it, because that is some quality comic book writing. Locke and Key from Joe Hill, that is your suggestion. Once again, nerds, this is just the comic books and books section from the Week in Nerddom, which is the much longer video that gets posted over on the main channel, youtube.com/generallynerdy or @generallynerdy, however you gotta find it. That's the main channel. You get the entire, usually around about an hour-long video there that goes into other topics as well, TV, movies, rumors, etc., etc. Go check that out. Before we leave you, though, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.